We talk about September 11th. What happened after that is anyone who's brown, anyone who's remotely Muslim, anyone who wore anything that would indicate that they could look like a terrorist, their lives were, and still are to this day, just incredibly difficult. Imagine not being able to be served, being bullied in school, at work, losing a job. All that stuff happens because of these lies. Just because someone is brown, it doesn't mean they're going to bomb you, right? It's the same thing that's happening with Haitians right now.
Although when I was, I'm sorry to cut you off, when I was younger and ignorant, like after when the 9/11 hit, you really start looking at as like Middle Easterners as.
I know, but so that's how white supremacy works. Yeah. Because it's perpetuating the same harm. Let's take it back to the pandemic, right? And with COVID. You had a president at the time that was saying like it's all the Chinese people did it. All the AAPI, Asian-American Pacific Islander folks, they're the reason why we have COVID. That's not true, right? And so what do we see? An increase in hate and violence and murder towards AAPI folks. Because you have the highest person in this country, similar to what is happening right now with J.D. Vance and Trump saying this thing about Haitians, and it results into death and harm, right?
Welcome back to another episode of the Big Dog Talk Podcast. It's me, the one and only Big Charles, and I am really, 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 really excited. Before I tell you why I'm excited, I need you to go to the Big Dog Talk Podcast YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Big Dog Talk Podcast YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Today I have another special guest. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. I don't even want to jump into it too. Matter of fact, I'm going to just read your bio. Because you are so amazing to me, I don't want to miss anything. Is that okay with you?
Please.
We have Dr. Akilah Cadet, the founder and CEO of Change Cadet, an organizational development consulting firm that offers services that support embedding belonging into overall company culture, identity, and strategy. As a Forbes Next 1000 entrepreneur, her work is behind some of the biggest brands you use every day. Dismantling white supremacy through storytelling is at the core of her work. We're going to talk about that too, because this is good. This is good. This is good. As a leader, speaker, creative director, producer, writer, editor, co-owner of the Oakland Roots and Soul soccer teams, and author of, again, White Supremacy is All Around. I recommend this. She's literally has all the degrees, lives and loves Oakland. As you can see, is another Oakland native. I love Oakland. You guys realize that by now. But guys, listen to me. This inspirational human being, woman, phenomenal woman, Dr. Akilah Cadet. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Of course.
Thank you.
That was lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for this hyped up bio.
No, I should have done it over, I should have put the bum 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 bum. I have been bragging to you, bragging to my wife about you. I have been really excited to interview you. Reason being, again, I saw you on a panel speaking at the Oakland Accelerate.
Yeah.
And first of all, you were up there with a bunch of men.
A whole bunch. A DEI panel, and I was the only woman.
But you were holding your own, though. Had the legs crossed and I supposed to be.
Not my first rodeo.
And what I loved about it, though, I loved your confidence. I love your boldness. Even though you were speaking on something else, what really stood out to me was your courage.
Oh, yeah, that's my everyday.
That's your everyday. Yeah. So just tell us a little bit tell us. It's fine. It's fine.
Right. There we go. There we go.
That's okay?
Yeah. No, it's good.
Just give us a little background about who you are, because I know that you are first generation
I am.
Haitian,
Yep.
right?
We do not eat pets. To put that out there, there's one thing that's pissing me off about Americans, you know, spewing hate. Haitians do not eat pets. I mean, I know people go around and like,
I wasn't expecting that.
No, I know people go around and like, want to joke around about it, but these are things that infuriate me. These are the reasons why I wrote my book. These are the reasons why I talk about being first generation. I talk about my intersectionality as a Black person, as a woman, as a disabled person, as a child of an immigrant. Like all of these things are important, but a lot of people don't realize how much white supremacy is all around. And so when people spread jokes about like Haitians eating pets and hiding the cats and the dogs and all the songs and the memes, those are further perpetuating harm.
I wasn't even thinking like that.
Yeah. So y'all probably can't put two and two together sometimes, but let's take it back to September 11th.
We're jumping right into it.
That's how I roll. So September 11th, right?
Make sure we're talking to the
Yeah. Okay. So September 11th, right? If we talk about September 11th, what happened after that is anyone who was brown, anyone who's remotely Muslim, anyone who wore anything that would indicate that they could look like a terrorist, their lives were, and still are to this day, just incredibly difficult. Imagine not being able to be served, being bullied in school, at work, losing a job. All that stuff happens because of these lies. Just because someone is brown, it doesn't mean they're going to bomb you, right? It's the same thing that's happening with Haitians right now.
Although when I was, I'm sorry to cut you off, when I was younger and ignorant, like after when the 9/11 hit, you really start looking at as like Middle Easterners as.
I know, but so that's how white supremacy works.
Yeah.
Because it's perpetuating the same harm. Let's take it back to the pandemic, right? And with COVID, you had a president at the time that was saying like it's all the Chinese people did it. All the AAPI, Asian-American Pacific Islander folks, they're the reason why we have COVID. That's not true, right? And so what do we see? An increase in hate and violence and murder towards AAPI folks, because you have the highest person in this country, similar to what is happening right now with J.D. Vance and Trump saying this thing about Haitians, and it results into death and harm, right?
Yeah, it does.
So that's why we have to, be careful about these things. Like there's some things that we want to make fun of for sure, because that's how we have to navigate life. But when people are losing their jobs, when there's violence, when there's bomb threats, when kids can't go to school, all of Springfield is fucked right now because of a Facebook lie. And that person, her name is Erica Lee. She's come out and said, I didn't know it was going to be this. That's also how white supremacy works, because you can say, I didn't know, and do that. And she's apologized and she's like, my kid has been affected. I take my kid out of school. Like she's seeing exactly what's happening to Haitian kids. She's feeling what happened to brown people during 9/11. She's seeing what happened to AAI people during the pandemic.
And you don't feel sorry for her, by the way.
No. Not at all. She did that to herself.
The reason I said that is because of your book.
Oh. What do you mean? The first chapter says white women are exhausting? Yeah. I lean in.
So we jumped right into it. Honestly, I wasn't expecting you to say we don't eat pets.
Yeah.
I really wasn't even thinking of that. So please don't. I know you have.
No, I know you weren't at all, but that's something that's on my mind because of the amount of hate that's out there, right? So again, this is an example of my lived experience. I can't think about being Haitian right now without making sure people know to not make fun of and perpetuate hate and harm, right? Because that statement is very true in front of mine for a lot of people. So when I have a platform, right, and I have opportunity, I can help someone learn and unlearn as a result of that.
That was really good, though.
Yeah, I'm not new to this. I am true to this.
That was very sarcastic.
Yeah. Sarcasm is my jam.
So can we back it up a little bit before we dive right into it?
As long as it's in the words of Juvenile.
Can we back that? Tell us a little bit about yourself, like your background, your upbringing.
Sure. So I am from Sacramento, California. the capital. I have to remind people it's the capital of California for some reason. I don't know why. I have been in the Bay for 24 years. I've been in the Bay longer than I've been in Sacramento. So I am for sure a California girl through and through. But I represent the town to the fullest. I'm all about Oakland to the fullest extent. I had, a nice childhood. I had successful parents. My father is a diplomat, and he's a diplomat for the International Telecommunications Union, which is part of the United Nations. So my father worked on the international trade agreements so you can have your cell phone that you have today. So I saw a prototype of the smartphone thing when I was like a kid, and I was like, why would anyone want to be on the World Wide Web, like on their phone? That's where you call someone. It made no sense, but yeah. So 3G and all that's because of my dad. And then my mom, she's a doc too. She's a PhD, and she's always been like a leader and executive of something. So I've always seen my parents be in very powerful positions. That's why I can debate like no other, because my father is also a lawyer, a diplomat, and then my mom was like just a powerhouse executive. I have a lot of her suits from the 90s that I wear today, where I can get my 90s shoulder pad action on. But my mom is also an activist, so she was on the COINTELPRO list. The COINTELPRO list is the counterintelligence program. That's also where, MLK and Malcolm X were on the list, because my mom was doing activism in college along with Cornel West.
Well, this is in your blood.
Yeah. So I had no choice but to be this person. And so I use like what I got from my parents, also my grandparents too. Being Haitian is really important to me because on my dad's side, my dad is Haitian. He came here, knowing some of the language and like did the whole, American dream as much as someone could do American dream for not being a white person. And his father, my grandfather, was a doctor and a lawyer. So he did both. And then just like, Haitian blood is a real thing. Like we are
for sure.
Definite, like we'll fuck someone up. We are
fighters. For sure.
It is just like in us, and we have a lot of pride of being the first free like Black republic and the impact it took around the world for overall enslavement, right? Including here in America. And then my mom's side of the family, they're from a small town outside of New Orleans called Donaldsonville.
Oh, wow.
A very, very tiny town. So both my grandparents are from there. My grandfather was the first Navy first classman. I always forget the title, to be above deck.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well keep going. So where did all of your degrees come from?
The societal pressures of being a Black person in America. So yeah, I had to go get all my degrees to be valued and respected. So my undergrad is in health science. I went to San Francisco State. My master's is in public health. I went to San Jose State. And then my doctorate is in leadership and organizational behavior and in health sciences from A.T. Still University, which is a med school. So I went to a med school because I was originally a health administrator.
Can we pause for a second and just give you a... That is amazing, though.
I don't like school, though.
You just went to school for 1,000 years.
I did. I like money.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like respect.
Oh.
So...
Oh.
Yeah. So like I was at the San Francisco Department of Public Health for the longest time, San Francisco General Hospital clinics, all this other stuff. And I was not respected with my master's in public health. And MPH is a terminal degree. It's like the MBA on the health side. And so, but I looked like this, but 15 years younger. You know what I mean? So I wasn't getting respect. So I was like, all right, well, you can now call me doctor. I went to get my doctorate while I was in that space. Yeah, so no matter what, even if people don't see me, they don't value me, they still have to call me Dr. Cadet. And that brings me so much joy.
That's some big dog talk right there. You really talking that talk, though.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to do it. You have to do it for yourself, right? A lot of people want like...
So you don't mind talking that talk? You don't mind it?
I have to give it to myself. If I'm waiting for you to validate me, I'm doing it wrong.
Oh my God.
I look good today for myself. If anyone else is like, oh, you look nice, or you look pretty, or you have whatever, thank you. It's a +1. If we don't do it for ourselves, then we're putting ourselves in positions to just be so dependent on everyone else's feelings and emotions. And when you're dependent on everyone else's feelings and emotions, that goes into the imposter syndrome, the doubt, the anxiety, any of those kind of limiting thoughts. And I don't do that.
Where did this come from?
I almost died. So that changed my perspective.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, can we talk about that or no?
Not at all. No, I'm kidding. Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. So in my book, I also talk, in my book, I talk about a lot of things. I talk about the workplace. I talk about being a Black person in this world, being a woman in this world, being disabled in this world. But I also talk about my diagnosis to the things I live with now. So I have something called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, or EDS. Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome is a connective tissue disorder. It means my body doesn't know what to do with collagen. Collagen is a protein in everything and everything in your body, every organ. I have to remind people that your skin is an organ. So I bruise really easily. Your ligaments, your joints, any organ. I have kidney issues. I have so many different things. So my joints like to dislocate or partially dislocate all the time. Like right now, my wrist is coming out all the time. It's not staying in. So I have to keep this in to keep my wrist in. I could do this and my wrist will go out or finger will go out.
Oh, please don't let that happen right now.
It happens all the time. I'm able to put it back in, but I live in a lot of pain. I have hypermobile joints that kind of go back and forth. They hyperextend. There's a lot of things. With Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, there's 13 types. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is rare, but the type I have out of the 13 types, less than 1 in a million have. So I have a rarer version of a rare thing. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome also shows up in my heart. And so the arteries in my heart close. And my body thinks it's having a heart attack every day. So I live with the symptoms of a heart attack. So I get chest pain every day. And then some days I have shortness of breath. Some days I have weakness in my left arm, or pain in my left arm. I can have a heart attack and die at any moment in time. So wow. I take heart medication for that, but I also always have life-saving medication with me until I get to emergency room because, again, my arteries cannot open up and I can have cardiac muscle death. So it took a while to get to that type of diagnosis of EDS, but along the way I was being treated for a lot of heart problems to get there. And so one time I was in the emergency room because I was having really bad chest pain. And early on, I would always bring a white person with me to the emergency room.
On purpose? On
purpose. Yep. So I could be validated, seen, and heard because I didn't have diagnoses at that moment in time. Once I got diagnoses, I was like, look at my chart. But so the white person who was with me, my friend at the time, she just had a baby. And so she had to go and pump. So I was by myself for like maybe 15, 30 minutes. So I'm on my phone. My heart rate is stable. I'm on the phone. I'm on the monitor. And out of nowhere, I go from 80 beats per minute, which is normal, to 250, 70, something like that. At just jump. So that's what we call SVT when you have supraventricular tachycardia, when your heart, the bottom of your heart just beats irregularly and you could die.
Wow.
And so I was alone in a room and the monitor's going off. No one came. It's like beeping profusely. I cannot breathe. I take a little picture because I don't trust anyone in healthcare. And I'm trying to yell as much as I can for not being able to breathe. So the door is kind of open. So someone came in and I was like, I need help, And that person, I don't remember what they looked like. They were just like, I don't work here. Because they were a paramedic. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
And so
I'll let you die?
Yeah, exactly. So then the physician on duty came in with a ultrasound machine to do an ultrasound of my heart. And so she was like, you just must be scared because your friend left. And because I was pre-med, I knew how to do some breathing to try to bring my heart rate down before I could have actual medical intervention. And so as she's doing this and I'm like catching my breath, I said, I'm just going to go ahead and reintroduce myself to you. My name is Dr. Akilah Cadet. I'm your colleague. I was sent here. You have a note from my cardiologist because there's heart things going on right now. Your job is to make sure I don't die. So you need to talk to the cardiologist on call. And if you can't, I'm more than happy to connect you to my cardiologist at UCSF. And she looked at me. She left. She came back. She was like, yeah, you're correct. One of the medicines you're on is called SVT. So we're taking you off that immediately. They wanted to put me on something else. I was like, no, you can go fuck yourself. And then I went and saw my cardiologist the next day because I knew I wasn't dying, you know. But I thought I was dying, right? And if I didn't advocate for myself, I could have
possibly not.
SVT results in it has a very high risk for death.
Dang.
Yeah. But I've had multiple things happen like that. So that was like the first time I thought I was going to die. But you know, there's also other times. And then I also carry the risk of death every day. So. Yeah.
But you're smiling all the time, though.
Yes, because I have major depressive disorder. Thank you.
Wait.
I use a lot of humor and a lot of sarcasm to navigate the pain I'm in. I'm in an extreme amount of pain every day. And no one would know because I use humor as much as possible to like make it through the day. My entire spine is on fire all the time.
All day.
All day.
And you said you have what is it?
Major depressive disorder. So major depressive disorder is the Beyonce of depressions. It is the top tier. It is the star. So major depressive disorder basically means you're either thinking about suicidal ideation, or in suicidal ideation. Yeah. So I have it because I live, like I said, in an immense amount of pain. And the way it works is like, if you're in pain, you're sad. If you're sad, you can get depressed, and then you're in pain, more sadness, more pain. And I live in that cycle every day. Doesn't mean that I can't find joy. Doesn't mean I can't, you know, live my best life and all those other things. But it definitely makes it harder.
No, I get that part. But why? But you don't seem suicidal though.
Right now. So I'm not suicidal though. I don't have a problem talking about major depressive disorder or how suicidal ideation can progress. But there are many days where I don't want to live my life because it's hard. It's a lot to
wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I do, you know, because I have a purpose, and my purpose is speaking my truth and role modeling this behavior and dismantling white supremacy and giving them the fucks and showing people, like, if I can show up every day as a Black disabled woman, someone who has part of my intersectionality can do the same thing, or none of it, they can do the same thing, right? I have every excuse in the world to not care about other people. I have every excuse in the world to just like give up, but I still don't, you know, even though there's sadness and pain, I keep moving forward.
Wow. I'm lost for words.
That's why I say keep being amazing. This is my sweater, y'all.
Yeah,
your t-shirt.
Right. Keep being amazing.
Keep being amazing. I tell myself that every day.
That's your go-to affirmation?
Yeah, that is my go-to affirmation.
So what does that mean to you though when you tell yourself keep being amazing? What, like, okay.
I am.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Keep being amazing. Why those specific words though?
Yeah, I was I've had my company for 9 years. Next February it'll be 10 years.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. I leaned into the full celebration of Blackness in February by celebrating my company too. But so, you know, I'm like sending out emails, and I was like, I want to say something different than like thank you, or, you know, all the best, you know, like the normal kind of warm, kind regards. Like I wanted to say something different. And so then one day I just wrote, keep being amazing. I was like, oh, I like that. It's nice. Because I was saying it to myself, and I was like, oh, I could put this as my signature for my email. And then people were like, I will. Thank you.
That's how it made me feel.
You too. Yeah. Like, so it ended up being a reminder of how we are all amazing, right? And the more intersectionality, the more parts of our identity that we have that are oppressed and not celebrated or not seen, it is incredible that I am here for so many reasons. That's amazing. And so that's why I say it.
Wow. So how do you become this brand?
Yeah.
This brand.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say overcoming, but dealing with it. Dealing with the things that no one can see behind the scene.
So I embrace it. I celebrate it. I accept it. I don't suffer from anything.
What do you mean? You're in pain every day.
Yeah, I don't suffer. I just suffer isn't a helpful word for me. I persevere.
Okay.
You know, I navigate something. I learn how to adjust. Like last month, I celebrated 7 years of being disabled. 7 years ago, I didn't have to think about where I'm going to go. Is the seat going to be padded because I can't sit on something that's hard? And do I need to bring if I go to this concert, do I need to bring my cane because I don't know if they're going to have steps that have a handle, or a guardrail or any of those things, and I lose my balance. Like I went to go see Usher last night, and just walking there, I almost passed out.
Wow.
Because I can be a falls risk, a very sexy falls risk. And then it's just like, I should have brought my cane, and I didn't, because I felt fine when I got out of my car, but then I didn't. So I'm always navigating. I'm doing a whole bunch of math in my head. And so when when people say like they suffer for something, it's like, no, you've adjusted, you've acclimated, you've learned how to embrace something that, came because you were born this way or came later in life like me, and you have found a way to still show up for yourself. And it's up to you if you want to show up for others. And so that's why I'm just really careful about words. Words are incredibly powerful. And so I could say I suffer from EDS or I suffer from major depressive disorder, but that to me is a reminder of the sadness I already have. I don't need to add to that. I'm amazing as a result of my EDS. I'm amazing as a result of my, major depressive disorder. And that is true. And that's a better way to think about it.
First of all, did they know that you're Dr. Akilah? They should have carried you to the front row.
I know. Well, I mean, I made it work. As soon as I could sit down, it's fine. Like part of my heart, I have 17 health conditions. 4 of them are rare. And so one thing that happens to me is I have low blood pressure. That's what we call orthostatic hypotension. So I can't stand too long. And sometimes like walking, my heart doesn't know how to regulate it. And then I want to pass out. I just want to have a little fainting couch situation, just be real cute. So I navigate a lot of invisible and sometimes visible disability. We call it dynamic disability. So I go between two. So sometimes you'll see me with the brace on, or you'll see me with the cane, like the cover of my book or whatever. And sometimes you won't, but I'm always dealing with something, right?
Wow.
But yeah.
You wouldn't be able to tell at all, though. At all. Like just by looking at you in your appearance, you wouldn't be able to tell at all.
Right, which is also why I tell my story, because there's a lot more people in this country who navigate dynamic or invisible disability than what people realize.
Right.
And if someone could be like, oh shit, she looks like me, but she has stuff going on. They can show up differently with someone else at work or someone, in their family or, friends, to understand that like disability isn't someone who's a person who uses a wheelchair. There's so much more to it. Yeah.
Speaking of your story and the one that you just spoke about when you were in the hospital, and you usually always bring a white person with you to advocate for it.
That was how I used to do it, but now I'm good.
Well, now you're good. Yeah. Now you're good. So you really wholeheartedly believe in your story. White supremacy is all around.
Yeah.
Where did this mindset come from? Like, when did you just really notice it? Or did you always notice it?
Right. Oh, I grew up in a white neighborhood. So, it was primarily white. Second to that, AAPI folks, Asian-American Pacific Islanders. So, in preschool, there were 2 Black people in my class. It was me and my twin. And then when I graduated K through 8, it was 4 Black people. 1 was my twin, right? Like, you know what I mean? So I've always been around it. as I got older and had to live adult life and see how I was treated either for a job or a space or place and like not have the protection of an adult right around me, then I was like, oh shit, what is happening? And as I studied more, just realizing that white supremacy is an incredibly powerful tool to make America great again.
Again.
Yeah.
So can you speak on that? Elaborate on that? Like how can white supremacy
show up? So, white supremacy is a good thing.
Well, talk about it. Talk about it.
White supremacy is the reason why a white person gets stopped by the cops and they get a ticket or nothing. White supremacy is why a white person goes to the emergency room and their pain is believed. White supremacy is a white birthing person having a baby with minimal risk of death from themselves or their baby. White supremacy is getting a promotion, not doing shit. White supremacy is being in line and being seen in line. White supremacy is being greeted at a restaurant and seated. White supremacy is being welcomed into a 4 or 5 star hotel or first class or whatever it is. White supremacy says you get all the social determinants of health to thrive in this country. You get a livable, walkable community. You get, health insurance. You get your salary that you should get. You get access to education. You can get access to a loan. You can get money. You don't have predatory rates. Your home will be appraised. That's white supremacy. The problem is with white supremacy is white people only think white people should have white supremacy. Because they feel if we have it as Black people, we're going to turn it into Black supremacy. They know exactly what they're doing. And Black supremacy would mean they wouldn't get shit, right? Because that's how white supremacy works. If we all had white supremacy, we would all have that American dream. We'd all have opportunities to thrive. We wouldn't have to have these stories of the first Black woman to perform at Coachella, Beyonce, or the first Black potential president, Kamala Harris. We wouldn't have these firsts that still happen in 2024. You know what I mean? That's all because of white supremacy. So when we talk about dismantling white supremacy, which I talk about in this book, we're saying, what can we do so everyone gets the same as white people?
Do you think that's going to ever happen, though?
Not in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime. I think there's things that have happened to change things. So like when Obama came to office, the rates of Black-owned businesses skyrocketed, being started. And, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but a lot of us walked into our offices that day like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Our president is Black.
That's true.
My Lambo's blue. So all of those things have an impact. We could see that potentially with Kamala Harris in office too, with women-owned businesses, women of color-owned businesses, there can be, you have to see it to believe it type of things can happen. But the way white supremacy works is what we're seeing right now. That's why the Republican Party is the way the Republican Party is. That's why people are spreading hate about Haitians. That's why people want to change healthcare again, right? So you can no longer have pre-existing conditions and, all of those things that go back into wanting to maintain white dominant or white supremacist culture.
How do you, I'm going to save that question. Why are you so passionate behind this? Like bringing people awareness. You don't think the world already know that white supremacy is all around?
But I definitely know that the world does not know that.
You definitely know that the world doesn't know?
Yeah. I mean, I cannot tell you how many white people
have can
read
you not?
My book to say I have not thought about that way. I did not realize that.
Oh, wow.
The reason why the first chapter in this book is white women are exhausting is because they are. Does that mean all white women? No. But I use white women as an example, and a lot of white women have said, thank you so much for that chapter, is that white women who have intersectionality, when I talk about intersectionality, it's the intersections of our identity. Okay. So if you think about a bus going down the street full of everyone, if that first intersection's LGBTQ plus folks, they have to get off. The next intersection is, people who make $100,000 or less, they would have to get off. If the next intersection is women, they'd have to get off. Disabled, get off. If we're going to these intersections. At the end, you're going to have heterosexual, non-disabled, cisgendered white men, they have the most power, right? In the white supremacy food chain. They're going to be the ones like chilling on the bus, bottle service, right? You know, having a good time. That's that intersectionality part. So when we talk about our intersectionality, white women have intersectionality because of their gender, right? We have white women who are upset about Roe v. Wade. We have white women who are upset about what's happening to IVF and fertility care. We have that, right? They're upset. But white women choose to pick their whiteness, so their ethnicity, over their gender. I can't separate the fact that I'm a Black person and a woman. There's no way for me to do that because I'm a Black woman who has to solve all the world's problems. It's the weight Black women have been given.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Definitely over it.
No, we couldn't do it without you. That's
No, but we, you know, y'all ask us to fix shit and then you don't want to celebrate us. We can quickly become the problem. I'm not
Wait, but what we doing right now? Look, we celebrating right now.
No, the celebration should happen, but I'm just talking like, you know, people forget about, they just talk about January 6th all the time. January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, right? For the insurrection. But people forget about January 5th. January 5th is when Stacey Abrams and a whole bunch of Black women flipped the fucking Senate so that we could change things. But all of that is forgotten. We do a lot of this fixing, right? Even you can think about Kamala Harris right now. It's a lot of this fixing of the government and stuff of like how we come in. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But white women know the power of whiteness, so they choose that. I can't separate my Blackness from being a woman. They're one and the same. I can't separate, you know, even being disabled from my Blackness or being a woman. They're all together. But white women have the privilege and the power to do that because they know if they vote for Kamala Harris, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, like a woman, that's great. But see, my daddy was white, and my uncle and my grandpa, and maybe my husband if they married a guy or whatever. And I trust them more because that proximity to power that they have, I get as a white woman. So they could be all, yay, Harris right now. But as soon as they get to their ballot, they'll vote for Trump.
I know you get a lot of backlash. How do you deal with that?
Data.
It's like you bringing facts.
Yeah.
You speaking on straight facts.
Yep. So white women voted for Trump, grabbed by the pussy Trump. It was like 50-some-odd%. And then we had the second time, you know, Trump ran, and that was kids in cages, Charlottesville. That rate went up. It's like 60-some-odd%. So when people are like, oh, Kamala Harris, I'm so excited. I'm like, well, I don't trust white women. So, you know, are they going to choose their gender, or are they going to choose their whiteness at the polls? Because no one's going to know how you voted. No one's going to know, you know. No one's going to know.
But you speak on this whiteness, but you have like white friends.
Do I?
Oh, I'm thinking, but
I have white friends, yes. Yeah.
So how do they handle this conversation with you? How do they accept?
Correct them all the time. They have to know what they're dealing with. The white people I deal with in my life have to understand that they can't uphold values of white supremacy around me. They have to actively be in a position to what I call ACT, accountability, communication, transparency. They have to know how they're showing up every day. They have to communicate when they don't know something. They have to communicate when they do know something to correct folks. They have to be transparent where they're like, you know, I need to apologize, or Akilah, I did this thing and I realized I had to correct this, or whatever it is, you know.
I was reading in because I only finished chapter 1 in your book, but I was reading where you went to France and the N-word came out.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you this though, before we go into that. The word nigga, does it offend you?
ER does.
ER? Because I was asking this question the other day, and some days I feel wrong when I don't feel offended anymore. I don't, emotionally, it don't make me want to punch nobody in the face. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't make me want to.
ER version?
No, I don't. Well, I haven't had it. I haven't had the ER version like in a long time. But this, like, let's just say this. This was my. Let me give you the full perspective. I was in the gym one day working out, and I heard some Hispanics using the using the word nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they weren't like, I hate them niggers. They was like, nigga, be quiet.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was supposed to be offended or not. So I felt convicted and wrong.
Yeah.
But I really internally, I wanted to say something, but I was like, is it worth me saying something? So how do you feel about the N-word? And I want to hear about your story.
Totally. It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. I ain't got no nigga and no nigga ain't got me. So I'm happy. I understand there's like a whole debate of like, even within communities of color, but I'm not going to get into that just yet. But just Black people and the use of the N-word, N-word A, N-word ER. Like, I understand the power of reclaiming a word.
Okay.
I don't see anything wrong with that, but I understand how that could make someone else feel a certain way, and they don't want to use the N-word at all. Like with the A, we're not going to use the A. It's not going to happen. I get it, but for me, I'm like all for the power or whatever, and like I just quoted Glorilla.
Yes, you did.
Me and my car. I live and stay in the trap, by the way. That's me all day. But
in your mind.
Sure, we can say that.
So gangster doctor, Akilah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's another story. But when it comes to the ER word,
okay,
we're talking lynching. We're talking harm. We're talking overt racism, like just in your face. And I think we have to be really careful with that word, right? That is where the offense should be taken. And that's when things should come up.
Okay.
Now, the story in my book, she uses the A version of the word because it's, I don't want to get into all the details of it, but it's a hashtag that she's looking at, right? And the hashtag is niggas beefing. And the thing is that white people can't say the A version or the ER version of the word, right? That's not for you. Right. I understand. Beyonce said, I get it. And you sometimes forget that she's Black. I understand. I do. But that word's not for you in any shape or form. Yeah.
So I guess I was wrong for not saying anything because they were Hispanic.
So the Bay Area is weird. Like there are Filipinas out here who will use the N-word. Right. It's the same for like our, Mexican fam and all the other stuff. And I like go back and forth. It's just like, okay, there's like solidarity, but also you didn't experience the same harm from that word. So I don't think you get to reclaim it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just my personal feeling.
Right.
Right. The people who, not to say oppressed people have for sure experienced harm, but that word is unique to Black people. Some Black people, that was the last word they heard before they were lynched, burned alive. You know what I mean? Like these are real implications. So yes, I understand whomever is saying the word in whatever song you like, but that isn't necessarily the word for you. Now, I pick and choose when I want to say something because I could say something all day, every day, and that's exhausting. So, sometimes it's just like, I just keep it moving.
Like my perspective is at least when I'm in a good space, like if someone used the word with the ER at me, like towards me, and I respond in a negative and offensive way, then I just gave them power over me.
If they use the E word.
If they be like, you get over here,
yeah.
And if I be like, what did you just say?
Right.
I feel like if I respond that way, I give them my power.
But it's how you respond. So for me, if I'm in that situation, I can ignore them, right? Or I can say, that's not my name.
Okay.
Right? I'm not giving him any power. And I can just keep it moving. More importantly, it's just like, oh, my safety is probably at risk now. If they feel that they can use that word. So I'm gonna get the fuck out. Yeah.
So why were you so offended in your story in the book?
Because this is a white woman saying the N-word, and white women cannot say the N-word.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. 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 So for the FOMO folks, but you should really go get the book. I'm part of an international think tank for the future state of fine wine. So we get together around the world once a year to think about wine. And I bring in the perspective of diversity. And so she asked me specifically, she was like, Dr. Cadet, I would like you to look at this data set that she had, and turned around and then proceeded to say the N-word multiple times. And I was like, no, and so that's the story of me telling her no. And the only person she listened to was a white man, not me. Right. So that's why I tell that story, because of the power dynamics. I go on in that chapter to talk about white women, right. And picking and choosing between whiteness and their gender. And how that shows up.
Do you ever have to explain yourself to your friends as far as like not making them feel uncomfortable? Because your boldness and what you're talking, the topic that you're speaking on, it's a very bold topic, and it can make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yeah. So the goal is to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So anytime you're in white spaces...
You are amazing, by the way.
Thanks. Anytime you're in white spaces, you've learned how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what's needed to get something from a white person. You figured that out. You had to learn at a young age. That's why your parents taught you how to be around white people. Mm-hmm. White people don't tell their kids how to be around Black people. They don't have those talks. They don't need to do that because they're part of the power dynamic, right? We've had to do that. So like I said earlier, in preschool, if it was just me and my sister, I had to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable at a young age, right? If me and the twin are the only ones at the white sleepover, slumber party thing, then I know I need to wash my dishes. I need to fold my sleeping bag. Because I'm going to be judged differently because they can see that I'm Black, right? To be in those spaces. So because of that, we know how to sometimes speak a certain way when we need to get something handled, right? Mm-hmm. How many people were like, oh, I got to talk to, this bill thing, or I'm trying to get something done with my bill. And then you'll be like, hi, hey, yeah, I just wanted to know if I could, blah, blah. Like you can, like these are ways in which we've learned how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So anyone who's around me, they should learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
You right. Basically, you set the standards right away.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends, but...
You say you don't? Oh, wow.
No. I don't have a lot of friends. I know a lot of people. I have a lot of, I have a lot of acquaintances, but as far as like those really close friendships, it's very limited.
Wow. Yeah. So let's talk about you being a co-owner.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to know?
How did we get into being a co-owner of soccer teams? It's Oakland roots.
And soul.
Well, first of all, hold on, because this is my show. I do what I want to do. Can you sign my book, please?
Yeah.
So you sign anywhere that you would like, and you're gonna do it on the show.
I'm gonna do it on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because guys, she's on the Big Dog Talk podcast. Yes.
You can talk to me.
No, I'm in the moment. Can I be in the moment, please? I am grateful for this moment. Sincerely, though. Sincerely, I'm grateful for this moment.
Of course.
Okay.
Now I like really sign.
Oh, that's good. I want it. So, Oakland roots, yep. Oakland soul.
Yep.
And obviously, thank you so much. And they're going to be in the arena next year.
Yeah, we're going to be in the Coliseum. Yeah, the men's team, the Roots, will be playing in the Coliseum in 2025. Get your deposits now. It's going to be like, oh man, I'm so excited. So we were in this article this week. The Wall Street Journal wrote about like the legacy of the Coliseum, because losing the Raiders, I can't stand the Raiders now, but let me tell you, I grew up a Raiders fan. My childhood friends, still friends to this day. Her dad played for the Raiders. I had Raiders memorabilia in my life. I was playing with the Super Bowl ring. I was doing all this stuff. So when I moved to Oakland, I was like, oh my God, I arrived. And when I went, like, oh my God. So, but Raiders can go kick rocks because they left us. Then, this week was the last game for the A's, which I went to say a little goodbye, but to also see how we will be in this spot next year. But you have like iconic teams, like legacy that used to play in the Coliseum. So much history. I mean, Pele has also played there. David Beckham has also played there. There's so much that has happened in the Coliseum. And now, with newer ownership of the African-American Entertainment Sports Group, it's thinking about the future of that legacy. I am incredibly honored for our team to kind of come in and continue that legacy.
Wow.
So that allows us to, right now we play at Cal State East Bay, but now it allows us to have a home. It allows us to take our game day experience to the next level. Wow. If anyone's gone to an Oakland Roots game now, it's incredible. It's fun. It's community. We know we play on Indigenous land. We are really about a purpose driven team, but to now be able to go from 5,000 to 15,000 folks that can come in and experience something and have club seats and box seats, and in addition to the field seats we already offer, it allows us to provide more for the community. We'll have more space so we can have even more affordable than the affordable tickets that we have now. You know what I mean? There's just more accessibility. But next year I'll be rolling into the Coliseum and parking where the A's and the Raiders once parked. And I'll be in tunnels and
that's big.
Making decisions to get this team to fill this void, that we have now with those traditional teams. We're in line to be that next legacy team, that next iconic team for our city.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can put into words, but I don't. You are really inspiring. The picture that I see in you've been so vulnerable, transparent, and a story like yours usually don't go the way that it's going.
No, but the story's still going.
Yeah, I know, but it's so inspiring though.
Yeah.
When you were talking on the panel, I was like, I'm reaching out.
But can we talk about my favorite part of the panel?
After we finish talking about how you got
into the roots? Okay. So how did I get into the roots? So one of my clients was Lululemon. I worked with Lululemon for 5 years.
Okay.
I no longer work with Lululemon because they're racist as fuck.
Oh my God.
So if you want to Google my name and Lululemon, a whole bunch of stuff will come up. They are incredibly problematic. I am their number one enemy. I'm honored. I really am. But anyway, when we used to work together, one of the things I would do was help them determine an urban partnership, right? Mm-hmm. Urban. So basically anything that, was BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color, person of color owned, or Oakland. Oakland is considered an urban city for Lululemon, right? So they're like, hey, can you come? We're going to go to the training facility, practice facility for the Oakland Roots. And they brought other folks out, other corporate folks out to see what this potential partnership could look like. And they were already kind of starting to do stuff. So I went mainly because I was curious about the team, because I would see Oakland Roots sweaters and things around. I was like, oh, that's really cool branding. I feel like I have Oakland Roots. I like that. But going to the practice facility, the training facility for the Raiders, something I've never done in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we are. That's where we hang out, which is wild. So I go and I'm seeing there's still Raider stuff that's there. And I'm like, wow, Al Davis, that asshole, he was here. All that other stuff, that was pretty cool. So then we go and they're showing us around, and then Idris Arganjawal, who's the co-founder and chief marketing officer for the Oakland Roots and Soul Now, he shared that they're going to soon be announcing a women's soccer team. Mm. And so there are 2 crests that he was showing of these are the crests that we're trying to, narrow down. Before we introduce them, they'll also be we play for the USL, so the United Soccer League. Mm-hmm. So in America, there's 2. There's only MLS and USL. They kind of go neck and neck. And our teams are both through USL Championship League, which is the highest league, and we have the USL W League, which our women play in. So he's talking about these crests, and I'm like, hey, hi, here's what's wrong with your crests. Have you thought of, you should try, because what I'm hearing and blah, but I'm sorry, not sorry, I'm a Virgo. And that was it. And so at the end of the presentation, we're all leaving, and I went up to him and I said, hey, just so you know, Lululemon is my client. So if you need help with anything, or if I can support you, because what you have is special, let's talk. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, by the way, I'm a Virgo. And I was like, oh, Virgos love Virgos. We love each other. And so the next day he texted me and he said, hey, Akilah, I want you to introduce the Oakland Soul to the city of Oakland. Then I was like, first of all, yes, but second of all, why? Why? And he's like, I don't think anyone can explain it the way you do. And I also incorporated all your changes. So I helped design the crest. So the crest is a logo for the women's team. And I was like, what?
This is amazing.
Yeah. So I was like, funny story, never been to a game. Can I go to a game? So I was at a game like that weekend. I went to a Roots game. I have it. If anyone wants to look at my reels, it's just me going to the game. I was sitting in the stands, and just like, when I parked my car, because it was when we were playing at Laney, when I parked my car and I heard hyphy music, I was like, oh. Well, it wasn't like hyphy music at the Warriors game. It was like hyphy music, and you're just like, you know what I mean? So then I was like, oh. And then I go in and I see this food court, and it's like all BIPOC owned food. And then I see we play on indigenous land, and Jimi Hendrix is the recording for the national anthem. I was like, ooh, they move different. Like, this is, and then the game was fun. And like, I'm a child of immigrants, so football, soccer has always been in my life. I never played. I played basketball, and tennis was my sports. But it was something like I had never experienced. And from that day, I was like, I got to figure out how I can get more involved in this team. Like, yeah, I understand I'm going to introduce the mayor and talk about the crest and all the other stuff, but like, this is different, So then, like, Doris had me meeting with the other like co-founders and C-suite folks just to like, figure some stuff out. And then eventually, former president and now board chair, his name is Steven, he called me down to the training facility and he's like, hey, Akilah, I want you to lead our community investment round. And I was like, no. He said, Akilah, I'm asking you. We're going to work with WeFunder. Like, I'm asking you. And I was like, no, I hear you. No. Akilah, I think you'd be really great. Yeah, no, there's other things we can do. I don't want to do that. I don't raise money. That's not what I do. And then I thought to myself, because he was so persistent, and I love Steven, and I'm just like, I guess I could pull out my mediocre white man and just try something new, And that's that. Not that Steven's not that, but I was like, that's what I could do, right? Because that's what happens. All these guys are just mediocre, and these things happen, right? And so fast forward, we raised $1 million in the first day.
Wow.
Closed 3.1 million, and it's the most successful community investment round in American sports history. Yeah. So in addition to being a co-owner, I'm a partner, I'm a board observer. I'm also a lead investor. And so I personally have my investment in the team. And in addition to my big chunk of investment, I also represent the community investment round. So we had 5,400 people who invested. And the thing about the community investment round, which I really loved, is that it provided accessibility. So someone as little as $100 could invest in our team. And it's not like Green Bay Packers should read, it's like I'm representing, this money. So this pool of money has to say in what the team is doing. So yeah, so I represent 3.1 million.
That is big.
Yeah. And so now today, we're valued at 93 million.
Wow.
That was before we announced the Coliseum. And so we're on this really incredible upward trajectory. And because we care about our community so much, because a community investment round means our community can invest without having to be an accredited investor. So in America, an accredited investor has to make $200,000 for 2 years on their tax forms to invest in something. But due to regulations from results of like the Jobs Act, this is very nerdy, it's changed it to provide more accessibility. So anyone of any salary can invest a certain amount. And that's what we're able to do. So right now, we've actually opened our community investment round again. So for as little as $100, people can invest and invest in our team.
So if the community did want to invest, how do they go about it?
You go to wefunder.com/Oakland. Or you can just Google Oakland Roots Community Investment Round. It comes up. The round is open through the end of October. As of now, it may extend, but through the end of October. And so people can have true investment. One share, I always get asked this question, one share is $10,000. We're not asking people to feel they have to do that, but if you want to, we will take it. But yeah, so they can be part of our investment group. Our investment group is really great. Like, we have like our main investor group. We have Marshawn Lynch, we have G Easy, we have Ruthie Bolton, we have Jason Kidd. It's just pretty great.
This is big.
Yeah.
This is big. This is big for Oakland.
Yeah. It definitely is. It definitely is. And so what we are positioning ourselves to do is just to, again, continue what we know as Oakland folks. We have 400,000 people in Oakland. We have 2.8 million people in the East Bay. Like, we deserve to have a team that we can celebrate. That can be a family experience. It could be a date experience. It could be a fun experience, a season ticket holder experience, because what we know of the fans here in Oakland is that we are committed.
Right.
You know, that's why a lot of us are so heartbroken. That's why a lot of us have a hard time going over the bridge, you know, to go to, I still haven't been to a Warriors game. It's just too hard for me to go to a Warriors game, particularly because I was going in family 4-pack nights. I was going when no one else was going to the opening games. You know, I have the t-shirts to show for it. You know, I have extra ones because there were less people. You know what I mean? Like, I was that type of fan, and we want people to know that we are rooted in Oakland. Our soul is for sure in Oakland. And that's why we're excited that we actually can have the men's team come back to play here, because, again, the season has been in Hayward. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So, I mean, if someone told me I would be in sports ownership, I'd be like, absolutely not. But now I can't see my life without it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm going to a game literally right after this.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I tried to make it happen within this last 2 weeks, but it was just a schedule.
But you know me now. And so we have 2 more games left. So
I do know you now.
Yeah. So I'm happy to host you.
I got a good friend.
So let me know.
My friend better than your friend.
That's right. Let me know. But otherwise, I'm happy to welcome you into the Coliseum next year when our season starts at the iconic Oakland Coliseum. Yeah.
Thank you. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, though.
Oh, okay.
You have to tell me about your best part of the. You said you wanted to tell me about your best part of at the Oakland.
Oh, the panel. Yeah, no, that's great. So we had to, again, this panel was like DEI, talking about DEI, and I was the only diversity on the panel. It's great to see Black men, but I was the only woman to bring in the diversity. So we were asked.
You're gonna get me in a lot. This is you say a lot of stuff that I don't. Oh my. Okay, go ahead.
So the moderator was like, hey, we're wrapping up the panel. I want everyone to give us an action item of what people can do for, you know, diversity. And so, like, everyone's going around doing stuff. This guy in front of me, it was talking about 100 Black men and like what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. So it was time for me to share my action item. My action item was, we just keep talking about 100 Black men and all I need is one. So the action item is, I'm single. So, and I'll share it with all of y'all. I'm single. So you can slide in my DMs.
What's your DMs?
Find someone, you know what I mean? You can share my profile with someone else, but I am single. I don't do dating apps. And so an action we all can take is how and who can you connect me with? So I can be partnered. You can slide in my DMs at change, the word change, CHANGE, Cadet, like cadet, CADET. So change Cadet. But yeah.
Oh, so I've been saying it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why you didn't correct me?
It's not that big of a deal.
No, but you should have corrected me though.
Here's the thing. Remember how we're talking about when you can put energy towards something?
Oh.
Yeah. I said it. So people know. I think they're going to be like, oh, Akilah probably knows her name.
Akilah wants you to slide in her DMs.
Slide in my DMs. I'm single and I've been ready to mingle, but the mingling is
what's the...
Oh, yeah, the qualifications. Very important. Thank you for asking, Charles. I'm single.
Be single.
Be single, and also don't be intimidated. I understand I'm Dr. Akilah Cadet. I know I'm on a Forbes list. I have a lot of wonderful things, but I need you to come with confidence because the success and the shine I have, I would like to share with someone else. I would like to high five that person, that guy, as much as he high fives me. And yeah, so don't come with the whole like, oh, she can pay for her own shit. Yes, I can. I work hard. I can. I'm looking for someone to share experiences with, to travel with, to grow with, to build an empire with, to be a healthy power couple with. I don't want it to be unhealthy. But like, let's get money and love, you know?
You are, oh my God. Be single, guys. Be single.
Do not be single. Oh yeah, be single. Yeah, no. I was thinking in the sense of like, no, don't be single. Come get me. You know what I mean? Get off the market.
Anyone that's sliding in the DM, be single.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And come with confidence.
Yeah. And the energy to, you know, I said this on another podcast. It was a sex and dating podcast, but I'm looking to be digged down and celebrated, you know? So.
Oh my God.
I just want to make it real and comfortable for you. So this is how you can learn how to be comfortable being. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
See? There we go.
Just like, I'm not going to say anything. Women are always like, great job today.
Thanks. Great job.
Great job.
It's fun. And then remember, go get my book.
Yes.
White Supremacy is all around. Notes from a Black disabled woman in a white world. If you buy a book, it does give me money, which I appreciate. But if you buy a book, it helps with book sales. If you buy a book, make sure to review it too. It is incredibly hard to have a book as a Black person, let alone a disabled person, let alone a woman in the publishing industry. I have a top 5 book deal. This is a really hard book deal to get. But the only way I can write another book is if people buy this book so I can keep talking about these stories.
I'm only into chapter 2, but it is really good though. I'm really impressed by it.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. It was, but it gave me an idea of like who you are.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first chapter gives you a good idea for me. The other one that gives you a good idea is the heartbroken chapter that has feelings and emotions in it. Yeah.
I could this conversation like it's gonna have to be a continuation like later.
No. Well, like when you finish the book, let's come back. Let's do it.
Okay.
Sure. And then like I wrote this. Like no one else.
You're a great writer, by the way.
I wrote it. Yeah. I edit people's books too. So like, you know what's really funny? I got rejected from a MFA, a Master's of Fine Arts program. Yup. And in my acknowledgments, I tell them to suck it.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Big Talk podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been amazing.
And y'all have been great too. If you've enjoyed it, thanks for being here. And thank you for having me. And remember to keep being amazing.
Great job.